All right. I love seeing the attendees flood in.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody, as you're joining us. Just giving everybody a few minutes to get in. Go ahead and put in the chat or the Q&A where you're calling in from. We have some bonus points for certain people from certain geographies.
We've got California.
Okay.
Utah's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
California is beautiful.
Where else
We've got Missouri, Vermont, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Washington, D.C., Idaho. Idaho is also beautiful.
Yeah.
I think all these places are beautiful, actually.
They
Maybe
are.
we should, yeah.
I've never been to New Mexico, but I have heard. Oh, David said 100-degree Texas.
Getting hot down there.
It
sounds
is
like
hot.
Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Give it another minute or so and let everybody come in.
If you're just joining us, let us know where you are joining us from in the chat.
Jefferson City, Missouri. I have never been there.
Me either. I don't think I've
Awesome.
ever been to Missouri.
You've never been to Missouri?
I don't think so.
Oh. or Missouri as Boston. Hi, Lori.
Boston, I have been to. That's in my hometown neck of the woods.
Oh, Toronto. Hello, fellow Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I joined the academy so that I can achieve freedom to move to Ohio, Idaho. I'm from Maryland. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. What do you think, Lindsay? We want to, people can still join in. And we have Rob is going to be joining us. He's going to be our special giveaway guy. So watch for him to pop up in the chat or the Q&A. But I want to welcome everyone to our first edition of the Liscio Bookkeepers Club. And today's episode is on top bookkeeping firms have a secret, and I'm absolutely delighted to have Lynda with me. Now, Lynda and I like to do a thing when we start our webinars, and we like to start with the end in mind. And so let's imagine for a day, what would your perfect day feel like if you had all of these things? You had everything you needed to do your job, your documents, your paperwork, all the answers to your questions, everything. And what if clients were sending in all these key documents when you asked for them? No chasing, no emailing, no hunting in different locations for things that they may or may not have sent. And what if your staff, for those of you that are more than one person, what if your staff could see across the status of all your clients, no matter who dealt with them last? And then your clients are so delighted that they're referring you to others. So this sounds like it can, like kind of a dream world maybe for some of you, because you might be sort of caught up in the swirl of what many firms, you know, even if you're just a sole proprietor, what many firms are experiencing today. But it all hinges on making it very, very easy for your clients. And one of the things we want you to be thinking about as we go through this is, what if you could make it as easy, fast, and secure for clients to send you a document as it is for them to deposit a check using their online banking app? So we're going to talk about these secrets that firms have, that firms use, like Lynda's firm. And we're going to have Lynda share some of the ways that she makes this perfect day happen in her practice every day. So Lynda, I want to welcome you. You're our first special guest for our Liscio Bookkeepers Club series. And when you and I talked about this, it was really obvious that there really are only a few places that bookkeepers can really speak frankly with each other. And be able to ask and answer. So I wanted to, in addition to you introducing yourself, maybe share with, how you kind of feel about the profession in general, and how you'd like to help them succeed as bookkeepers.
Absolutely. So I'm Lynda Artesani, and I am the founder of Artesani Accounting here in beautiful, sunny, hot Southwest Florida. And also we run the Accountants Law Lab. So I work with my business partner, Sarah Prevost, and we help accountants learn legal accounting My firm is specific now to working only with attorneys. And I have to say that I think that we just got off of a Facebook Live and talking about future-proofing your practice and starting to talk about AI and technology and thinking we kind of rolled back to the past and where things were and how maybe some of the people here are still doing some things in an old school way and aren't even aware that some of these technologies exist, and Liscio being one of them, because it's been life-changing for my firm, mostly because it took away the noise of email. I have to say, I am one of those people that gets a little bit lost when things stack up. I remember the first time Google started stacking my emails and I'm like, somebody said, I sent it to you and I couldn't find it. So now I have Liscio, and it's not only that, it keeps you really super organized. So it keeps everything, like I have an account for each client and everything's there. So those are the things that really help me. And I'll go into more detail on other things that I love.
And really, Lynda, I think we share a goal that we really want to share some secrets that should not be secret.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we have an action-packed agenda today, and we have 41 minutes to get through it, because we'll keep you on time. 45 minutes. That's what we promised. But we are going to cover the real reason that you're not getting documents on time. And it is not the one that you think. And so we're going to dig a little deeper into that, talk a little bit about security and why it can easily coexist with ease of use. Lynda's going to share some key phrases that she uses with clients. And then we're going to just cover, and it's like 5 screenshots. We're just going to show you just this really quick look at Liscio so you can sort of see what we're talking about. Now, I want to introduce a special guest who has snuck in while we were talking, and that's Rob Camp. And Rob is our giveaway guy today. And giveaway guy is going to be running some little engagement things. So watch the chat and answer questions and engage with Rob as you go, because he has some really fun things to give away while we're on this call, which I just think is fun. Little unexpected thing. Now, one of the things that we were shocked to learn, Lynda, me, Lindsay, Rob, everybody really, we were shocked to learn of this statistic. Accounting Web published this in May of 2021, that up to 40% of accountants and bookkeepers' time is spent searching for and gathering client documents. Lynda, did that shock you? Like, how did you feel when you saw that number on screen?
I believe it because, as you know, I like to say I had to nag my clients for documents, but then I kind of changed it to badgering because it's like that word nag kind of as a girl.
It felt a bit feminine, didn't it? We were like, do we want to nag? No, badger. Badger is a good one. Who likes badgering? Nobody. And
nobody,
who likes being badgered?
That's it. Nobody wants to be badgered. And it was like I was hounding them every single, I need this, I need this, I need this. And now look, we're almost up on the tax deadline. If you're a tax professional, you might be sitting here right now going, oh, I can't finish this tax return because I don't have a document that I need to validate.
Yeah, and so it means a lot of things, doesn't it, when you think about this waste of time, because it means that you can't actually sit down and do the work, right? Where you can't go start to finish. You sort of have to pick up and put down. But it also means those late nights and overtime. And then I think the other thing is there's this feeling of being stressed out and frustrated. And so, and then that's kind of like, because of that, you just don't feel organized and you don't feel like you're having these really productive days. So, so Lindsay, I think it's time for our first poll. Let's go ahead and pop the poll and see why this audience feels like clients don't send documents on time. So let's just read them off. They don't understand the impact. They're too busy. They don't have a scanner. They don't like my portal. All of the above or other. And if it's an other, put it in the Q&A so that we can see what your thoughts are for the other reasons, because we're always learning from you. And Rob's going to have Rob has a gift to give to the person that puts in for the other persons, or he'll figure out who awards it. He'll pick the one he likes the best. All right, I'll give you maybe just another. How are we doing, Lindsay, on the poll?
We have about 21, so 63% have participated in it. So we can leave it up for another 10 seconds or so, and then we can end it.
Lynda, what's your feeling when you look at these? Like, why don't clients, we're going to get to that in a minute, but what do you think the top answer is going to be?
I think the top answer is the first one, which sounds horrible, like they don't care, right? But it's actually, yeah, I would say that I think that might be probably all of the above. That's going to be the top answer.
Yeah,
because
we've got
all
some
of those.
coming in on the chat, which is awesome. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll in 3, 2, and 1.
Great. All right. Yeah. So the answer that we think is right is all of the above. All right. Now let's go ahead and talk about why they don't. So what really happens when clients are asked to send documents to you? Lynda, I'm going to ask you to kind of go back to before you used Liscio, which is several years ago, but before you used it, what would happen when you would ask clients for documents?
Well, as you know, I was a generalist before I niched down, but even with the niche, typically my client, well, my pool guy, he might be out at a pool, cleaning a pool, and I'm asking him for a document at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he's got his phone in his back pocket and he's doing his thing. He doesn't even see it, or maybe it'll buzz and tell him something, but he's not going to look at it. He has no way to get anything to me. So that would happen. He'd get home, have dinner, take care of his family, play with his kids, and then he's looking at it. Now it's 10 o'clock at night, 10:30. And now he's either too tired or he's going to go find something even worse. And I'm going to interrupt his entire workflow for that. Because he doesn't care about me. He cares about his own customers during the day.
I think he does care about you. I think he just sees it. He sees it come in, right? And then like what actually happens? Like he sees your email come in with the list of documents. And at that point, were you using a portal or what were you using to securely? How did you handle the security?
Can I tell you what I was using? Can I give a name out?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a safe space. By the way, we're not going to slam on anybody. This is a safe space.
Slamming. I was using ShareFile, and there were a ton of struggles there with getting them. Half the time, this is what would really happen in the real world. I'd send something because I don't want to send it out on an email, and I'd send them a request, and then they'd say, "I can't figure out how to get this in here. Can you help me?" Now I got to log into Zoom to help them if they happen to be in their office. That was a typical scenario. Or they maybe try and ignore it and maybe forget about it, because that happens. I used to forget about email too. So it's a typical day.
Yeah. So I heard a couple of things there I want to press on a little bit. So they actually couldn't even just figure out how to get into your portal. Okay. No. So there was that barrier. But those were the folks that had the documents in their hand and wanted to send them to you. There was another category, right, who didn't have, did they have scanners? Like, what were the sorts of things that you were hearing from people they were like, well, I'd love to send it, but I don't know how?
Oh, my pool guy.
Did you hear that as well? Yeah, your pool guy. Let's talk about
absolutely. Him. He'd say, okay, if he didn't have the document, he'd say, I'd do it later. He might call me. And then that would interrupt my workflow. Or he would, if he happened to be at his office, maybe he saw it the night before and remembered, he would take a picture on his phone that would be crooked or crumbled, and I couldn't even read it. So that was the other problem.
So arts and crafts. Yeah, you get the pictures all day. So it's an interesting thing about the clients that send you a picture of a document, because right away that indicates that they really want it. They want to send the document to you, right? But they only have their phone in their hand. So they've got to so that's where we start to thinking about how beneficial it is if you understand their day, they're not at their desk, or they're, your pool guy, he's out cleaning pools, or your lawyers, where are they? They're with their clients or they're in court. Yeah. So you have to match your ask to what they can actually do. So I think the thing about email is that it seems so easy to send somebody an email. It's like, well, yeah, they're going to answer the email. But can they, in their busy day, can they actually deal with it? And I think that's where if you start peeling the onion and you start really understanding, like, what would happen when somebody would get your email, when your clients would get your email and they knew right away they couldn't respond? What did they do? Like, what kind of a position was that putting you and them?
Yeah. A lot of times I'd have to help out. I'm seeing in the chat, like Julie's saying, I get picture text, and sometimes they're cut off. Like the part you really needed is missing, right?
You're like,
And
oh,
you're
that
like
was
trying
great.
to get it bigger, and then you have
Yeah.
to get it on the phone. That's the other problem. You have to get it out. Once you get the message, you got to get it out of the text. So there's another barrier. So you have to do some more arts and crafts. So yeah, I mean, that's the
And
real world.
And it's very difficult to share this with a coworker if it comes on your phone.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's definitely a problem.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's like all these issues with that people just don't think of about email, and they also don't think about like what their client is doing. So the recommendation here, folks, is for you to really deeply understand what your client's day is like, including, are they at their desk? Do they have a scanner, right? Do they even have one? Because if they don't have a scanner and they're not at their desk and the documents are paper, and Rob's chiming in, so go ahead. This is your first opportunity to win something. You're basically asking, you're giving them an undoable and something that they can't do. And that is at the heart of the Bookkeepers. The interesting thing is that we know that you are all in some cases actually considered members of your clients' families, right? And so you don't want to set them up for this impossible task. So let's go for the next poll. And Lindsay, let's go ahead and share that poll. All right, everybody. What system do you currently use to securely exchange documents with clients? Now, we listed some. If there's something else or you do it a different way, put it in the other. And as always, Rob will be selecting someone to win a special prize. So what do you use? Do you use SmartVault, ShareFile, Dropbox, Google Drive, Liscio, File Cabinet, or something other? Yeah, so let us know. So there's that one that you use, ShareFile, Lynda.
I use ShareFile, and honestly, I had trouble getting into it. So if I'm having trouble on my end, I'm not kidding. If I'm having trouble on my end,
we did not mean to slam on ShareFile, by the way.
So, but that was, it might have been me, but I had trouble with it. So, and I would be on support, and yeah, it wasn't easy to use. And I'm so glad you mentioned, Alison, about how, because it feels like when they don't give you the documents sometimes and you're so stressed out trying to get it, you feel like they're just ignoring me. They don't care, but they actually care. They really do care. They want to help you. They really do. It's just when it happens.
Yeah, they do. They really do want to care. They do care, and an indication that they care is when they start to send you things using their phone.
Yes.
Right. Or yeah, right. Or they send what they have, right? How many of you get paper documents dropped off at your desk? I mean, at your office. Yeah, Julie says, I don't have a secure way other than collecting things in person. Okay, so that's a way to do it. And that's paper, I'm guessing.
That was a hard way to do it in the past year too, because you had to stay separated. So that makes it really difficult.
Yeah. Lindsay, do we have any questions that have popped up? I saw a hand raised.
Let's see. It doesn't look like, okay. We just have a comment from Donna.
Oh, Donna.
Donna's saying that it's pretty rare that I need a document from a client that they just upload in Slack and then she just deletes it when she's done, it looks like.
Okay. So uploading into Slack. So that's clearly an other. Yeah. So there's a lot of workarounds. And I think they can generally work fairly well if you're a sole trader, right? If it's just you. But I think they, like in your practice, Lynda, you have other people. So yeah. So maybe you could comment on that. How do you share that visibility there?
Well, today, before we would have to work around, we used Slack and we used Teams internally too, but it's hard you don't have visibility. So today I'm in Liscio. If I have somebody, God forbid, is not well and they're not going to be able to work and I need something done and I have to reassign a staff member, in Liscio, I just add them to the account and now they can see everything and just add their name. If there's a long thread that's important, you can add them on it and they're going to be able to see everything. So it's literally, you could be, if you're doing it old school way, you could be forwarding emails and trying to figure everything out. And this is just really add the staff member and now they have access to what's been in there from the prior, everybody in the group can see. So you keep it that way. It's just wonderful. So easy.
Yeah, and as we sort of move in this distributed environment, which COVID has really kind of just shown us that we can do this really easily, right? Where we don't all have to be in the same office. I think having a way to collect, to store things where everybody can share it, you know, and everybody can access it is really important. Lindsay, let's go ahead and close down the poll. And we'll go to the next slide. So we've kind of talked about security and ease of use, and it kind of feels like sometimes those things are opposite, but they don't have to be. And one thing I wanted to sort of get at, Lynda, was the different needs of the firm versus the different needs of the client. So with the firm, you absolutely, it has to be secure.
Yes.
Right? And with the client, it has to be easy. So how did you think through this process when you were kind of designing how you get your clients to send documents on time?
Well, for me, when I pre-Liscio, I had a client that I was working with, and he would email me a new employee packet. Everything you could do to steal that person's, every piece.
Oh my gosh. And he did it because email was easy for him, right?
It was just easy, no friction. And then for me, I was horrified, like you just was like, and I was like, oh my goodness, he just sent everything. And I didn't like the fact that if a staff person saw it and responded back on that same email saying, don't do this, now you just sent it again. So that was my initial reason to move to Liscio, was that security. Because I think with security, as a firm, you want to show your professionalism. And I think for us, it's been paramount to stepping in right at the get-go in the discovery call and saying, you know, you're going to hire us, you want us to give you a quote. This is how we do it. We do an NDA. Guess what? It's in Liscio. So now you can sign with eDoc in Liscio. You're already introducing them into the platform. So they start to see it. And when they say, what is Liscio? And you explain that we're doing this to secure your data, that just shows that you've thought ahead and you're forward thinking. You are protecting them, and everybody knows about hacking and all the things that can happen. So absolutely, it made
and apparently I forget the stat, 90+% of all, it might be 96%, it's a massive percentage of all cyber attacks happen because someone clicks a link in an email. So I've actually trained my mother, who was nearly scammed very badly, very, very badly. And it was only the fact that the wire transfer company she was dealing with would not wire money to a Thai bank. That happened at Christmas time. But I've trained her now. It doesn't matter who sends you an email. Do not click the link in the email. Go to the company instead. And that saved her from being scammed into uploading all of her Google data into a new Google. Apparently Google sent her an email that said you can't use your old account anymore. And it was so convincing that she actually believed it, but she remembered what I had said. Don't click the link in the email. And she went to google.com and set up her new Google there. And it asked her at the time, do you want to migrate your data? And she's like, yeah, sure. So she went from one Google to another Google, but she was safe because of that one thing. So when you talk with your clients about security, what are the sorts of points that you make with them? And we're going to go into your respond securely and quickly. So we're going to start peeling the onion here. Lynda's going to start sharing some of her secrets on how she gets her clients to respond securely and quickly. But let's start with the security. How do you explain this to your clients? Like I did with my mother, you know, never click a link in an email. How do you explain to your clients?
I would basically, it's an invite in platform. So there's no noise in here. There's no emails from Amazon telling you that your package, you need a new account. Those are the things that are easily clickable and honestly, I've seen some from Intuit that aren't from Intuit. So
and they're so believable. You're like, oh my gosh, is it real? Is it not? And you're just like, you look at it and you have no idea, right?
Yes. So when you talk about it with them, you know, so many people have had a credit card compromise. You open it up and you see that, you know, there's a charge from London and you're like, I haven't been in London. So that's a good way to kind of segue in. But most of the firms that we work with, they're pretty aware of it. Law firms are especially the ones we work with, we migrate a lot of them over to from a desktop version. So we have that conversation about how safe is the cloud. So when we come into the Liscio piece of it, they're generally very open to it. And then we get them in the app, and we get them to use the app. Once we're engaged with them, that we get them to use the app so we can get the communication going really freely. And it's so easy. It's so easy. And being able to move the documents, like, the e-signature is so wonderful. And then they know if something came in from Liscio, it's from me. So it's me asking for something, and they'll get a little notification on their phone, and they're mobile. So they're able to, if if my attorney's in court and he's got the document, he can take a picture of it and send it to me. And the picture just comes in beautifully. There's no, like, it does something like a bank, when you're taking the picture of your check, it does something that just, it comes in the way I want to see it, and I can read it. That's the key.
Yeah, let's pause for a minute on the banking little thought there that you just raised, because I'm old enough to remember when we had to go to the bank.
Me too.
Do you remember? Do you remember you actually had to leave work and you were like, I have to get to the bank. Now, some of you on this call are going to be laughing your head off. They're going to be like, wow, that's like really old, grandma. But it's not that long ago. And remember when banks gave us the option to do, first of all, they started with online accounting, and you could kind of check your balances and you could transfer funds, and it was kind of cool. You're like, oh, okay, I could do that. And then they rolled out the mobile app, and your whole world changed. And now we know that we can securely just snap a photo and deposit a check. And would anybody ever think about going back to the old way?
Never.
Right? That's kind of like the game changer, that when you actually do get the right oh, Nina's popping in here. I'm ancient too. We're not gonna age anybody here. We're all young and spry. But the issue is basically making it super easy and secure. And the bank will never send you an email and ask you to click a link. They will never do that. So you might get an email, but the email will say log into your banking and retrieve your message there, right? And Julie's got a good point. I do the old way still. So that's kind of a cool point, Julie, because when you move to what we call a client experience 2.0 manner, which is this great mobile option, you also have the old way available too. So the banks didn't take away anything when they gave you the option to deposit by this fantastic mobile app. You didn't have anything, they didn't take anything away. You can still go to the bank. So it's kind of fun. It's like it opens it up, but the main thing is security. And then the other thing I think you were saying is that your staff can collaborate. So can you talk about that, Lynda? Because that doesn't happen if it's just happening over email, does it?
No, and if you've ever had to try to do that, like back in the day where I had to find the emails, if I had to move somebody to a different account and find all the communication so that the person can follow up, adding that person in Liscio is a matter of just adding them to the team that the account is on. And then you can add them to any thread, and then they can see any conversation that's relevant, and they can see all the files. They have access to all the files. So if they need something, it's there at their fingertips. And I'm not having to find a document and find a file folder and give it to that person. It's just right in that one space. So everything's organized. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. So I think it's just really just using the right tool for the job, isn't it? So so let's talk about some of the key phrases that you use with clients. And I wanted you to kind of, let's talk about, it's like a new client. So you've got a brand new client, they're coming in and you're kind of going through your onboarding. What sorts of things do you say to those clients at that point?
Well, we always start out, like I said, with an NDA, and we talk about, we use this platform called Liscio, and it's to keep all the documents secure. It's really simple to upload the documents. So we're going to give you we request them right there at that point, because we're going to do the discovery. We're going to go through and do a file review. So we have a certain set, and it always includes a tax return. So I want your last good tax return. So I need a space that I can put that in, because sometimes the attorneys are solo and it's going to have their social security number on it. And they don't want that data floating around. Right. They have a responsibility to their clients. I'm going to be pulling up client names and client lists. So that NDA protects them, but I need to have a place that it's very secure. And that's typically where we would have our conversation about why we're using it. Newer clients, it's very easy to get them on board. I would recommend that if you're thinking about switching over, start with the newer ones. And then I
Yeah.
have another tip for older ones.
For older ones.
Legacy clients, I call them legacy
So
clients.
we wrote down some of these phrases. They're a little bit lengthy, but I wanted to have you guys kind of understand the sorts of things that Lynda is saying to. This was such a fun conversation to put together. So Lynda, talk us through that first one about security. So you're going to have that security conversation with every client.
Yeah, absolutely. With every client, new ones coming in the door, even in the older ones, when we shifted over, usually it leads into a story or two that, oh, our firm was hacked. And then you hear the story and then we'll just reiterate that this is exactly why we have this in place. And I think at that point, a lot of times in our discovery calls, when we're doing that part of the conversation, it will lead into, hey, I talked to 2 other accounting firms and they never even brought that up. But this firm did, and that could be the reason why they might choose us. So those are the things, like they actually gave us an NDA right in the beginning of the process. They are already thinking about the things that are important to the firm that you're trying to engage with. So I think that's super important.
Yeah,
And
so you mentioned an NDA. Do you also have them sign an engagement letter as well?
yes,
And
yep.
does the engagement letter outline what they need to do with their responsibilities?
Yes, yep.
And yours?
It will do the scope of work. It'll put their responsibilities. It's a whole big, long NDA. I mean, engagement letter, and it will outline what we're going to do for the firm, and it will have everything in place. And you can do that right inside of Liscio with the eDoc, eSig. It's right there, and everything's housed there. So now, if you have to refer back to that, it's there. Everything's under that client name. So you don't have to do anything. It's just that's where it's going to be saved, that saves me time. And I'm all about saving time when it comes to that kind of stuff. Anywhere I can save a minute or two, it's great. I'm not
saving time and also like you have to be easy. It has to be like easy for both, right? Because I always think about years ago when I joined Intuit, and Steve Bennett said one of the Intuit values was think fast, move fast, and they were changing the values, and Steve Bennett was like, well, I think it should be think smart, move fast, because there's no reason to do a dumb thing fast. That was so funny. I'm like, yeah, let's not do dumb things fast. So it has to be easy, right? Easy. It has to be secure. Now, this second bullet, this second one here, I laughed so hard. So tell us about your security waiver that you have.
Okay. So I decided, so when I went all in with the new clients, I'm like, this is really great. I'm going to go all in with the legacy clients. So I started this messaging to let them know. And I had little videos to show them how to go. I use Loom and do little videos so they understand how to use the platform. You don't really have to go that far. And I would tell them if they got stuck, they can always reach out to, the chat. That one client, he's like, I got enough apps. I don't want to have another app. And I said to him, well, this is paid by our firm, so it doesn't cost anything. And went into the whole security question. And he said, I don't want it. I don't want any more apps. I'm done with apps. I said, okay, fine. We have a security waiver that I want you to sign because I don't want to be responsible for any documents that may or may not get compromised in our exchange of documents through email. Totally made that up. I had no waiver, nothing. And his face was like, oh, he means business. All right.
Wait a minute.
I'll use your app. And after that was beautiful because anytime anything comes up, he's right. He tags the team so he can go and can communicate right with the team. If something's not like something broken, it needs to be fixed. He communicates, we communicate, everything's wonderful. Never heard a thing after that. But it's the only one out of like, I don't know, I had at that time, I probably had 30 clients that I moved over and it was like,
yeah. And you have to be sensitive to maybe, I'm guessing this guy was a little on the older side, was he?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't call anybody old anymore.
Well, okay. More experienced? Was he more experienced? Yeah. So I think did he end up using the app or did he end up using the browser version? Because there's both, right? So you could have told him maybe it's just on your computer, just use it there, right?
It was just, both, but he didn't want to use anything. He didn't want to be bothered to having to go through, go get the documents through method. And after all said and done, he's probably just having a grumpy day. He's a great man, a great guy. Everything's through there. Everything's in one place. In fact, I think he needed like copies of some records that we had not that long ago. And I'm like, oh, they're right here. And, the tagging, I just pulled it up for him. And then he's like, oh, I didn't realize it was right here. I could find it. And it was simple. and it's
Yeah.
secure. You know?
Yeah. So I think what the picture we're trying to paint here is that done right and with the right environment, the clients can actually self-serve and send documents easily and also hear from you easily all in one place, just like the banks do with their clients,
Yeah,
right? If you
absolutely.
got an email from a bank with a link in it to log in or upload anything, you would know immediately. You would immediately be suspicious, right? And while this has been happening, we had a really interesting comment come in from Julie. She said, I've had 2 people in my client's organization send emails within the last year saying their email accounts were hacked and to not click anything we received from them recently. So, and
Loyalty.
well, and interestingly, Julie said one of the people hacked was a lawyer. So, and so the interesting thing is that I think you cannot assume that you just have to assume that the scammers and the fishers are getting so good that they can just mimic anyone, including yourself. And that was the other story that I was very concerned about. It was on one of the big Facebook groups, and she's actually a friend of mine. I'm not going to name her, but her firm was mimicked. And
Oh,
so what happened was the account they kind of collected enough data about her to and somehow got her client list. So there was some kind of data breach somewhere involved. They got her client list and they basically took over, like acted like they were her and got her clients to send all sorts of stuff. And it was so shocking that that could happen that she went very public with it. And so security is one of these things where we think, I can send an email, I can send a secure link, I can do this. But one of the most mimicked links is actually, and I don't mean to be slamming on DocuSign at all, but is a DocuSign link inside an
wow.
email because we're also trained to click them, right? So when I get a DocuSign link, what I do is I actually immediately go back to the person that supposedly sent it to me and I say, did you send this?
Oh, wow.
Because I don't click a DocuSign link anymore because I'm realizing that could just be something else. I could be taken somewhere else and upload things into someone else's cloud. So that's where having something that's super simple and the right tool is going to make all the difference. So I think we're getting this really interesting conversation going in the chat about security. So this is definitely resonating with people. Although I do think it's very funny to have this security waiver that people can sign. And I just have to know, did you actually create one just in
I
case?
did afterwards because I wasn't
Okay,
sure if I was going to get anything else, and I was like, I better make this up.
better have it. Yeah, better
But
have it. Just
he backed down right away because
yeah.
I think he just realized that I meant business on this because I adore him. He's a great guy. And I was just like he wouldn't have been the last person that I would have ever expected that from too. And he was like,
Yeah.
I'm done with apps. I'm done with apps. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, it worked.
All right. So let's talk about that third phrase. And this is all about the ongoing data and documents that you're going to need from your clients. So how does this help you? The idea of creating tasks for them. Tell me a little bit about that.
We have some clients that we usually get a login for the bank if we need it. That's an accountant login, but some banks don't have that. So we have to ask the client for statements or documents that are recurring every single month. So we create these tasks that every month, I don't have to ask the client, I don't have, the staff doesn't have to make this. They
Yeah.
make it initially, and then I just let the client know this is how it works. You check off, and everybody loves to check off that they're done, right? They got it done. And then they feel like they get a gold star, and then they're all set to the next month. And that way we don't miss anything, and we're not having to go back and chase for the
Yeah,
documents.
it's surprisingly, you get this endorphin rush when you check off your tasks.
I know. It's kind of like scratching off a list, right?
There is
Yeah.
a little bit, it's actually true. Simon Sinek has a TED talk on it. You actually get a little endorphin rush when you actually complete something. It's like,
I
ooh,
believe
and
it.
you actually feel better. Yeah. So, and I think the auto reminding, we were calling it auto nagging, auto badgering. That's a cool thing because as a practitioner, you, Lynda, don't have to remember what you need from everybody. You can kind of set it and forget it. Is that kind of how you feel about it? Like you just set it all up and then you can do these auto recurring tasks. That
100%. And the thing
makes it
about
easier.
Liscio, the thing about Liscio is it's scalable. So as I
Yeah.
started to grow, it's hard to manage to remember every single, like this one has this account, this one might be a credit card, and I don't have a way to have to remind them. Once you set it all up, it's part of that setup, and then it's automated. So you're
Yeah.
automatically getting your documents.
Yeah. So we have, I'm just sort of mindful of time, but wanted to show you just kind of a little bit of an overview of some of the things that make Liscio. This is not a comprehensive list by any means, but some of the things that the client experience. So what has been your experience, Lynda, when people start using it? Do they enjoy, like they're like, oh, this is awesome, or do they still struggle with it like your guy? I don't want another app, or do you just find that people are like, oh, this is so easy because I can see the tasks and do what I need to do?
Uploading documents is literally drag and drop.
Yeah.
So it's that simple. And I've never
Yeah.
had to teach somebody that.
Yeah.
I
And
might
that
have
plus
to
that
show
plus
them.
button there on the app there on the phone, that's
Yeah.
how you can scan or upload or connect to Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive, or we have all these connections that you can do too.
Yeah.
And are you using the new Calendly integration to set up
Oh,
appointments with your clients?
no, I haven't used that yet. Lindsay.
Yeah. Yeah. We need, Lindsay, I think Lindsay has a video on it. I'm not sure. Lindsay, do you want to do a shameless plug for your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so if any of you are curious about Liscio and the specific features in Liscio, we do have a very, very resource-rich YouTube channel. I will throw a link in the chat, and you can actually just explore the platform in general or a specific area. So I'll throw the link in there if anyone would like to check that out.
Yep. And chat with Rob, because he's still got some giveaways to give away. Giveaway guy. He's got another 6 minutes. So you've
And he
got
had
time
his
to.
Liscio t-shirt on too, I noticed.
Yeah.
He was on brand.
He's always on brand. Okay. So let's talk through the messaging. So this is where this is going to replace texting. Is that right? Where and it's not on your mobile. I mean, it is on your mobile phone, but it's not using your mobile phone number, not your
Yes,
phone number.
exactly. So now my pool guy always walked around with his phone in his pocket, and the only way I get an answer for him, I can send him messages till the cows come home, and he won't answer pre-Liscio. But the texting feature, I just checked the little box off. Now he gets a text. I get my answer right away.
Yeah.
I get it fast. And
Yeah.
I don't have to give him my personal phone. I really want to give my clients my personal cell phone.
Well, and I think we've heard from so many people that if clients text, there's a few things that are really problematic about it, right? First of all, it's really demanding.
Yeah.
They expect an answer immediately. Well, what if they're texting you in the middle of Thanksgiving Day or your what's your son's birthday, or you're just taking a break? It's your evening, right? It's not secure. So I had somebody tell me a story about the person's idea of securely sending their social was to text the first 3 digits and then send another text with the next 3 and then the next 3 and 3 texts. You could so easily send that to the wrong person, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so, and then the other thing is that it's really inefficient, because didn't you say that you had to remember when we were talking about texting, there was something that you had mentioned that you had to remember to put it into your system the next day.
Well, what happens is he would text me back. So
Yeah.
he would text me back. I might be wherever. I look at my phone. Oh, he just texted me, and then I forget. And then I wouldn't answer him. And then he would text me again, like, hey, I asked you about this. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Because we get our data, we get requests for everything in a million places. If you don't educate your client that this is where I go, you could get instant messages. There's so many places. And this way it was, I'm texting him, which is his preferred method. And he responds, guess what? It's where my preferred method is, which is perfect.
So it really does bring it all into that one place, right? Oh, this is about the scanning the document. So what we did here was we just exploded that little plus button that we showed you on the other one. And this built-in mobile scanner I'm not going to joke, actually, this is the reason why I joined Liscio. I'm not actually joking, because I immediately saw, as a former bookkeeper myself, I immediately saw how much pain this is going to solve for clients. And at the time, I was locked in a death struggle with my mortgage broker, who was trying to get me to upload all these massive documents to his horrible portal.
Oh, the portals.
And I was like, I just can't do it. So I realized how easy this would be And when Chris asked me to send a specific document that I needed to send to him so that he could do, the sort of due diligence on me as an employee. And I said, well, I don't have a scanner. And he said, well, I will invite you. And I got to use it. And the angels, I swear to God, the angels were singing, because I could just scan it and send it. And he got it like, 30 seconds later.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Now, we wanted to quickly touch on you sending documents to clients. And I'm mindful we've only got a couple more minutes, so we'll have to cover this pretty quick. So when you're sending a document to a client, how does Liscio Dispatch help you?
Because you can print to dispatch, so you can, it's incredible how it's so easy. I don't know if you have a graphic on exactly how it works, but it's that easy. Like you can print and it shows
you print
up
the PDF and then Liscio launches
and it comes up right. So it's
then what? The client gets it here.
Click. It's in one click.
Done. Yeah. And that's compared to the old way of saving the document, putting it up in your portal, composing the email, putting it through to, sending it to the client, and then the link expires. And anyway, so then this is a really cool little doodly that Lindsay did that shows really anything that you're using can go through Liscio Dispatch, which is a wonderful thing because as we come up on our busy season, Liscio is something you can add now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to change any of your accounting or bookkeeping or tax systems. And then this is just how you would see how the staff have full visibility to everything, no matter who it went to. And then this is your text alerts and your mobile reminders that you were talking about earlier, that your pool guy likes.
Yeah. Oh, he does. And he responds quickly.
Yeah. Okay. So we have the last poll. And Lindsay, if you wouldn't mind popping that poll, and this is just a quick one. Would you like more information about Liscio? Yes, not sure, or later. And as expected, the 25 minutes went super, super fast.
It did.
So I'm just gonna thank everyone for attending. Thank Lynda for our first Bookkeepers Club discussion. And we'll be asking you all for feedback, when we send you an email, like how can we improve? What topics would you like in the next one? And we're going to keep peeling the onion on, how we can just make life easier for you as I just love to use this word, as the beloved partner to your clients, right? And make your life easy and make their life easy as well. So Lynda, any parting words?
Well, I think you said it best, because I feel I partner with my clients, but they're also my friends, and we've had them for a very long time. So if we can reduce friction on both sides and make it easy and seamless, it's just perfection.
Yeah,
so
all boats rise, don't they?
Yeah, always.
All right. Well, Lindsay, I think we can close down the poll. And I want to thank Lynda, I want to thank Lindsay, I want to thank Rob, and I want to thank all of you for joining, for taking time out of what I know is a busy time in your lives at the moment. And just encourage you to stay in touch with us. Sign up for a demo. You can go to the YouTube video, YouTube channel. You can take our quiz. We have a wonderful quiz on our website that you can take to sort of evaluate your own firm and where you're at. Or just call us. We're really all very nice and we love talking with bookkeepers. So thank you all. We're going to go ahead and close down the webinar now. And we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.